While we've been covering the search for Zuko's mom, we discussed how Toph is actually not around for the story since she's off starting her own metal bending school. So let's go over the entire story about how she teaches this new form of bending. The story begins on a mountaintop as we see a large dojo built into the mountain and Toph standing there in front of a group of new recruits telling them to take their stances. Everyone stands there in uniform with metal coins in their hands, and we see all of the students floating their coins in the air and starting to metal bend on her command as they show expert control over the metal, with some making it look like water bending almost. For a second, Toph is happy at all of the progress, but she senses Sokka and Suki from a mile away as they arrive at her temple, telling her it looks amazing, which she says is thanks to the earth and fire industry sponsoring her academy, which also allows her to teach metal bending for free. Everything is going great, just peachy actually, but this is where we realize that Toph has a major problem, and it's that she's extremely bored living this kind of life, since the school is basically running itself at this point. But soon she's gonna get exactly what she's looking for: a challenge. We see as Sokka and Suki arrive and actually offer to take her to a concert because the band behind the legendary Secret Tunnel song is actually becoming really popular in the Earth Nation and they have tickets. But after 3 hours of hearing them play, him and Toph can barely take it anymore as Toph walks out of the theater and feels a strange disturbance to her feet in the ground, as she senses that somewhere nearby a lot of people are bending in the same place. She sneaks her way in and actually discovers an underground bending tournament where we see fire, water, and earth benders all going at it, and for a moment she thinks back to her days in the arena when she was out there embarrassing grown men and didn't have the responsibility of training her own student. Eventually she gets closer as a new fight begins, and we see a young boy named Sun fighting against a really strong looking older woman when she trips him using earth bending, but this actually causes him to punch the ground and open up 3 cracks in the earth, revealing lava underneath, but she's unable to see anything else because people start to notice her and assume she's gonna shut them down as a new mystery presents itself to Toph. We see as Toph heads back to her school and gets her daily report from the 3 ex-students of hers that have all become good enough metal benders to actually start teaching at her school. And after giving them all a little attitude, they start to think that maybe Toph isn't enjoying herself at the academy because everything is so easy here and she grew up training her bending and fighting tournaments. So they decide to sew up at the dojo as they hope to please her. That same night, Toph returns to the house where she witnessed the underground fights when someone comes in and gets startled by the fact that she's there and runs away. She runs after them, eventually running into the leader of the secret tunnel band as he tells Toph that she needs to hide him. Thankfully she does, as she starts to feel a massive rumble going through the town and thinks something is attacking, but quickly realizes it's just a wave of hardcore fans looking for the band member. It's at this point where the man asks Toph why she seems so sad, as she answers that she used to be known as the Blind Bandit, but now she can't even show up to the underground fights without everyone thinking she's going to call the guards to end things. But really the issue is that she isn't being challenged at all and has completely stopped innovating, but that's why she wants to find the boy from last night who looked like he was lava bending, and she doesn't plan on giving up anytime soon. After getting stuck with the secret tunnel lead singer on her quest to find the first lava bender, Toph follows the vibrations through her feet in town and eventually locates another underground bending tournament, as off on the side we see her 3 metal bending students all making their way here as well on their own separate journey to make the dojo better. Outside, Toph says she recognizes the vibrations inside of the building, but they're gonna have to sneak in, as she shoots a pillar of stone out of the ground that sends them flying towards the roof, where they look into the building to watch the fights. It's at that moment where Toph spots Sun, the boy that she's there to see, as he talks to 2 of his friends or siblings and tells them he's absolutely gonna win so they can have money for a few months. As off on the side we see Toph's metal bending students signing up for the tournament, as everything is lining up here in a really interesting way, and Toph is about to witness something amazing, as a boy named Sun makes boxing gloves made of earth to fight against his fellow earthbending opponent. And as the battle goes on, the bigger man starts to get the clear advantage in this fight as he pummels Sun into the ground with his own stone fist, as the secret tunnel lead singer says some nonsense to Toph, causing her to almost miss what's about to happen. And back in the fighting pit we see Sun leaping out of the ground using his earthbending and starting to come back in the fight before ultimately winning his first match. At that time, a larger waterbending man comes out telling Sun that he's gonna drown him despite whatever earthbending tricks the boy may have, as throughout the fight he actually locks Sun down with sharp icy projectiles and sharp water whips that can even cut through solid stone. As the waterbender catches Sun in a trap ready to end this fight with his final move, we see Toph students get worried for the boy on the side. However, that worry is completely misplaced, as in this moment we see Sun put both of his hands on the ground, causing them to steam and evaporate all the water in the area, as from small cracks on the ground we see a large wall of lava leap out towards his opponent, as Toph confirms his boy is a lava bender and decides what she's gonna do with him. However, as the wall of lava grows, we see Sun start to struggle to control it as it all just falls down onto the ground around him as he struggles. Now this sight immediately causes his opponent to run away, since yeah, lava is extremely dangerous and no amount of waterbending is going to save you from that, as Sun just stands there looking shocked because this is probably the most lava he's ever seen, as Toph's students recognize that he can't really control his bending yet, and they watch as lava leaks into the support beams of the building, causing them to rupture as the entire building starts to fall apart. This is where one of Toph's students actually starts metal bending to try to save everyone, as Sun looks back and realizes he's never seen metal bending before and makes it to the entrance along with many of the other benders that were there, but Toph watches from the roof as the entrance to the building collapses, so she decides to jump down with the secret tunnel lead singer and tell him to go wait for her, as right here, right now, it's time for the master to step in and save her students and potentially even recruit her first lava bender. We see as Toph's 3 students are tasked with trying to save everyone from this building collapsing on their heads as they start to use metal bending to keep the supports from falling and hold everything still, but beneath them the floor continues to melt away due to the magma chamber starting to form. As in the crowd we see Sun thinking of what he can do to help. However, as a giant sheet of metal is about to fall on him, he puts his hands forward praying that he's just the most talented earthbender there ever was, as it stops midair and he questions if he actually just used metal bending, but we see that it was actually just Toph saving him. From here, Toph tells her students that she wants them to show everyone what they can do, as they finally work together to get the entrance open and everyone escapes just in time to watch the building collapse and become someone else's problem. But outside of this underground bending tournament, it's time for Toph to ask Sun some questions. We see Sun trying to run away as Toph wraps him up with a band of iron from the building and walks over telling him she can't just let him walk away without talking to him since he kinda just wrecked an entire building in her city. The boy apologizes, saying he just needed some money for his family. Toph smiles, telling Sun that she'll allow him to join Beifong Metalbending Academy, which is a school where earthbenders from all styles can learn new skills, but more importantly it's a home for young benders in general if they want it to be. At first Sun says he doesn't want to join because Toph is friends of the Avatar, who's friends of the Earth King and his soldiers, and they don't like them. But Toph says that none of that is her business, since her job is keeping her students safe and making sure they master their abilities, so her friendship with Aang would never put Sun in danger, and he'd be in the hands of the first bender in forever to actually come up with a new type of bending, so she could help him master his lava bending since he's the first non-avatar to be able to do it in the first place. Finally, she tells him joining will mean never searching for a roof over their heads and being able to leave whenever he wants, so upon hearing that, Sun officially joins her school. We see as she and all of her students return to her beautiful mountaintop estate along with the secret tunnel lead singer, where they spot Sokka and Suki. It's here where Suki learns that the secret tunnel band will no longer be doing concerts. However, instead of breaking up, they're going to be taking their show on the road and keeping him mobile for free whenever the feeling arises. But he tells Toph that he's going to write a song about her being an amazingly powerful earthbender and the savior of children, which makes Toph respond that she hopes that doesn't mean she'll be babysitting a bunch of brats when she's old and gray, something that's pretty hilarious because I mean, in a way she definitely is. Once the secret tunnel lead singer finally leaves, we see everyone say goodbye as we start to fly away from Toph Beifong's Metalbending Academy, as Toph gets back to teaching metalbending and now has a brand new challenge in front of her, just like she wanted at the beginning of the story. But don't worry, despite the fact that this is the end of this comic, we'll be seeing these characters return soon in another, but in the meantime, it's time to actually discuss a story where Toph is on an adventure with Aang and the others as they try to bring balance to the world after the events of the series, and a massive war between benders and non-benders begins.